With no shape, it dissolves, it's formless, and it may trespass that border, trespassing. And the border somehow become closer. And the place to start from is the intersection. it's maybe materials and time compressed. It's not very easily degradable, but it is far less degradable than its origins, even though the origin actually has an unknowable history. So maybe it's actually untraceable. But it still holds the vibration. In fact, this color is connected to this chakra. If you believe in that. I mean, not in chakras, but in connection between colors and chakras. Like the color of a vortex and what it does.
Like oil color from right in like the depths of my mouth down to my spine and like a long tail behind.
Trying to go towards it, but it always
It's a very small and dim light, and these two pools of darkness are just moving at the back of my skull. It becomes this kind of like large ball of fog, and it's coming up and it's coming up to my torso and it's enveloping me, all my body except my head. Whereas my head, you're in this, it's kind of like not large, it's thick, so there's a fog of maybe ignoring darkness happening underneath, but this shadow. The air moving around you, and it requires a lot of trying effort to meet the light, so that it's not ghosted away from the light.
large, thick fog of
Petrol
darkness.
color,
Becomes this
oil
kind of like
color.
large ball of fog.
First, presses him from behind, from his origin. Second,
The shadow of myself
walks the road
right in front of me on this plane.
he gives battle to both.
Petrol color, like oil color.
Actually, the first supports him in his fight with the second fight, where he wants to push him forward. And in the same way, the second supports him in his fight with the first, since he drives him back. But it is only theoretically so. For it is not only the two antagonists who are there, but he himself as well. And who really knows his intention?
But this shadow
His
is
dream
moving around your ribcage, is trying to escape
is that
light. So it
sometimes
is not
in an
goes
unguarded
away from
moment,
the light.
and this it must be admitted, would require a night dark and any ever be yet. He will jump out of the fighting line and be promoted on account of his experience in fighting to the position of umpire over his antagonists in their fight with each other.
There's like another skin on top of your skin that is crumbling, thick fog.
Thick fog, massive, huge, monstrous creature, and I'm trying to go towards it, but it always pushes away. It's like an added skin on top of your skin that is crumbling away, and my body feels tense as this happens, and it's kind of maybe shivering. This light has become very big, and it's still in front of my mouth, and it's casting a huge shadow, the shadow of my tongue, the shadow of myself, slipping right in front of me on down my back. It's kind of like a waterfall of petrol color, liquid, like oil color, from right in like the depths of my mouth down to my spine, and like a long tail behind.
Trying to go towards it, but it always
It's a very small and dim light, and these two pools of darkness are just moving at the back of my skull. It becomes this kind of like a large ball of fog, and it's coming up, and it's coming up to my torso, and it's enveloping me, all my body except my head. Whereas my head, you're in this, it's kind of like not large, it's thick, so there's a fog of maybe ignoring darkness happening underneath, but this shadow, the air moving around you, and it requires a lot of trying effort to make light, so that it's not ghosted away from the light.
large, thick fog of petrol colors, oil, like a large bowl of fog.
Once upon a time, actually right now, There is a body and a body and a body and a body and a. Once upon a time, actually right now, there are pieces. There are pieces. Once upon a time, right now, there are pieces of parts of bodies touching other bodies, touching other bodies, touching other pieces of bodies, touching other parts and pieces of bodies. Bodies are parts and pieces, touching pieces and parts. Which parts? Which parts touch which parts? Which parts touch which parts? Which parts touch? Touch. 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 I don't know what. I don't know what. I don't know what. I don't know what. I don't know what parts you're talking about. I don't know what parts you touch. I don't know what you don't know. I don't know what. I don't know what is behind the question. I don't know what is in the dark. I don't know what I hide. I don't know what you see behind your eyes. I don't know what, how much it takes until you and I touch. I don't know how much, how close we come together before we touch. I don't know what is touch. I don't know what is touch. I don't know what is touch. I don't know what.
In their fight with each other.
That is like another skin on top of your skin that is crumbling, thick fog.
Thick fog. Massive, huge, monstrous creature. And I'm trying to go towards it, but it always pushes away. It's like an added skin on top of your skin that is crumbling away. And my body feels tense as this happens. And it's kind of maybe shivering. This light has become very big, and it's still in front of my mouth, and it's casting a huge shadow, the shadow of my tongue, the shadow of myself, slipping right in front of me, on down my back. It's kind of like a waterfall of petrol color liquid, like oil color, from right in like the depths of my mouth down to my spine, and like a long tail behind.
Trying to go towards it, but it always
It's a very small and dim light, and these two pools of darkness are just moving at the back of my skull. It becomes this kind of like large ball of fog, and it's coming up.
the first time that I collaborate with these two entities in attempting to check what's their quality as frictioners, let's say.
Pierre, can you think of a question? Is it real? Korina? Tell him that it's up to him. You don't have to share it with us, it's just think about it. So we ask the oracle, is it real?
Please, Pierre.
Touch.
Touch. No, think of a question. Just think about it, don't tell me.
Specks of sun scattered like silent shadows. specks of sun scattered like silent shadows, flakes of skin and dirt and bark like silent shadows. Tree touch me, touch tree. Outside surface, touch tree, touch outside surface, touch outside surface, touch outside surface, touch imprint, tree touch. I don't know. Penetrate. I don't know what. I don't know. Rub. I don't know what. I don't know what. I don't know what. I don't know. Break. I don't know what. I don't know what. I don't know. And break off. I don't know what. 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 Touch. What. I don't know what. Fragments. Can I puncture my skin by repeatedly rubbing through touch? I bark of this stump. Fragments. Through touch, I perceive when I repeatedly rub it with my hand. Can we break apart? Fragments. Can we break? Can we splinter off? Splinter ourselves. Pull pieces off when we touch. Does this rubbing, touch, pulling, does this rubbing that bring us inside?
So, there's this agglomerate of substances which tell me about belonging. And there's a name that starts with a J. It can be a name of either a man, a woman, or anything in between. And there is a thing that helps with traveling between worlds. And maybe it's a really good moment to travel, not necessarily from physical space to physical space, but there is a sense of belonging, a sense of protection, and a moment when you can somehow remember why you do what you do. And I mean, you may be more down to earth at the moment, but still like really continue paying attention to your dreams. So more than ever, like, it's about grounding your efforts in the practical everyday world. And maybe some disease because of ancestral distress. Not disease like illness, but an uneasiness. And I see the color purple, like cor púrpura, a rosa púrpura, a nandelita, a zezulita. It's like cosmic energy. And it is an energy of integration. Yeah. Cosmic. Something like maybe a cosmic girl from another galaxy. Maybe some people know what I'm talking about. Like this 90s song. Maybe some people are too young to remember. I'm not sure.
Really, you're like nowhere, you know?
Yeah, totally. I started to feel this ghostness, like even if you are present, that you're still a ghost to the point that you can be ignored.
You're like nowhere, you know?
And this is not what it is.
Already we're experiencing a form of absence.
There's also a lot of deception going on. And I'm thinking also in terms of like what is spectatorship modes in general in this medium now.
If that shadow has a single identity within us, it's my shadow, but definitely not anybody else.
I do realize that I'm meeting people.
There's also a lot of deception going on.
Shadow is the most, I don't know, physically relatable person in the room.
Yeah, it's so tiring. Like the
It
level
does
of
take more
attention that you
energy
need.
and effort.
This is not
You know, it's like
what it
it's
is.
still,
Like this is not what it is.
yeah, the way you receive, the way you send stuff back, because it's just verbal
Your
and
presence
visual. Like,
with bodies
You're
that
not-
aren't there, that you're only seeing.
yeah, it's not a
And
whole
hearing
way of
digitally.
being, like,
It can be
present
anybody,
or
anything actually. It can be a pig
and
or
tender. So
a
it's very like
mouse
here.
or a wolf. Whatever, so yeah, I don't know, it's pretty, it's pretty kind of, I don't know, it's a bit lonesome work.
Yeah.
Because I just put shadow like almost anonymous, but definitely not anybody else out there. If that shadow has a particular identity within us, it's
You're
my
still
shadow.
a ghost to the point that you can
I
be ignored.
it really becomes, I think that's really, I don't know, that's the most, you're like nowhere, you know? I don't know, physically relatable person in the room. The rest becomes too wishy-washy, just, I don't know, it can be anybody, anything actually. It can be a pig or a mouse or
This is not what it is.
whatever. If that shadow has an entity within us, it's my shadow. It's pretty kind of, I don't know, it's definitely not anybody else out there. That's interesting. It's because of the situation as well, because it's direct reflection, maybe.
The level of attention that you need. It's like it's still, the way you receive, the way you send stuff back, because it's just verbal.
Yes, okay. It's also true that, within this work and other works, I'm looking for a certain frustration, I'm looking for a certain difficulty, I'm looking for a certain contradiction. It's all somewhere in the work, fine. And that's also, there's a list of like, okay, fine, okay, fine, okay, fine. But when does it start to begin, when does it start to become counterproductive? And at this point, that frustration is not a frustration that is creating energy, it's a frustration that is sucking up energy. So in that sense, I'm also not really willing to be that stubborn, like going against
this is not what it is.
What is showing, revealing itself not to be, or like in some ways also coherent with what we said from the beginning. Like this is not what it is. It's starting to become a forced pretending to be what it is.
Body, woman, grass, category. Body, woman, grass, category. Body, woman, grass, category. Body, woman, grass, category. Body, woman, grass, grass, category. Body, woman. Woman, grass, category. Body, woman, concept. Woman, idea, concept, woman, concept, woman, concept. Gender, flow, gender, flow, gender, woman, tree, flow. Woman, tree, concept, human, woman, idea, concept, human, woman, idea, concept, woman, concept, woman, concept, woman, concept, woman, concept, woman, concept, woman.
present
and visual, like
with bodies
you're
that
not-
aren't there, that you're only seeing.
yeah, it's not a
And
whole
hearing
way of
digitally.
being, like
It can be
present
anybody,
or
anything actually. It can be a pig or
gender. So
a
they're
mouse
like
or
here.
a wolf. Whatever, so
Crumbling
it's very
away, and my body feels tense as this happens, and it's kind of maybe shivering. This light has become very big, and it's still in front of my mouth, and it's casting a huge shadow, the shadow of my tongue, the shadow of myself, slipping right in front of me, down my back. It's kind of like a waterfall of petrol color liquid, like oil color, from right in like the depths of my mouth down to my spine, and like a long tail behind.
Trying to go towards it, but it always
It's a very small and dim light, and it's two pools of darkness are just moving at the back of my skull. It's kind of like a large ball of fog, and it's coming up to my torso, and it's enveloping me, all my body except my head. Whereas my head, you're in this, it's kind of like not large, it's thick, so there's a fog of maybe ignoring what's happening underneath. But this shadow, the air is moving around you, and it requires a lot of trying effort to see the light, so that it's not ghosted away from the light.
large, thick fog of darkness comes oil like a large bowl of fog.
Mr. Claude Lévi-Strauss, he said that the Amazon forest, like from the outside, from above, that it looked like some agglomerate of bubbles, like some kind of pathology that had happened within this river basin. No, it's a watershed, I think it's called in English probably. And so it was kind of, yeah, he thought it was like this bubbly pathological thing within the geography. And then, but that once you're inside, so once you kind of penetrate the forest, so you go through, you break through its membrane, that then you finally realize that there is a whole logic in that ecosystem, and you're like, you become the forest. And the forest is not, this is not Lévi-Strauss that said, but I'm saying now that the forest is not a virgin, because the forest is not like many people still think that it's just there as like the Garden of Eden, but it's a cultivated garden. So the people who live there, they don't actually say that they live there, but they are the forest, they are the space. And now I'm gonna show you this wonderful instrument again. I would actually offer you to try this, but we are not allowed because of Corona. Yeah, I'm done, I think.
shade. I left behind. That which was forgotten, that which shall not be. The shadow of herself, the shadow which is not it, the shadow which is remembered, yet cannot be touched. The touch which was so long talked about, so long longed for. The touch of a two-dimensional entity, object, surface. Shadow which you can see, shadow which is you, a version of the alter ego. Potential other, virtual self, a body to relate with, a body to be attached to, a body with strings attached to you, a body which you can manipulate, a body which follows your orders, a body which becomes what you want, a body you can touch only when manifested on the surface.
Specks of sun scattered like silent shadows. Specks of sun scattered like silent shadows. Flakes of skin and dirt and bark like silent shadows. Tree touch me, touch tree. Outside surface, touch tree, touch outside surface, touch shadows. Outside surface, touch outside surface, touch imprint. Tree touch. I don't know. Penetrate. Tree. I don't know. I don't know. Rub. I don't know. I don't know. Inside surface. I don't know. Break. Touch. I don't know. I don't know. Break off. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Rub. I don't know. I don't know. Touch. I don't know. Fragments. Can I puncture my skin by repeatedly rubbing through touch? I against the bark of this stump. Penetrate fragments. Through touch, I perceive when I repeatedly rub it with my hand. Can we break apart? Fragments. Can we break? Can we splinter off? Splinter ourselves? Pull
pieces off when we touch? Does this rubbing, touch, pulling, does this rubbing, does that bring us inside